I think music is one of those mediums by which it creates desire. It creates a want to understand something or to feel something. And once you start understanding what you want out of the music itself, in many ways you are shaping meaning through your music or for yourself. And in some ways, that crafting of meaning or understanding is exactly what we hope to help our students achieve in their lives as well. The first day of school, I remember talking to one of my colleagues in the school, and the first class that I was going to be teaching was in first year kindergarten. And we had a discussion before that saying, well, maybe we should talk about my disability or my hand just to preempt things. And the colleague told me, well, they're going to be in their literally first minutes of school. There are going to be so many changes around them that this will probably be the least or the last thing on their mind. And needless to say, the first minute of class starts, and all of a sudden a rush of about 12 or 15 kindergartners, 4-year-olds came up, and they were all asking the same question in different capacities, which was what happened to your hand? It's an opportunity, I think, to be able to explain a unique perspective and a unique story. And I think that when they see a teacher who not only looks different but has accepted that difference, it helps them in their own lives when they feel like they're not doing something correctly or not doing something right. And I try to model to them as much as possible that failure is a good thing. As in, like, there are many times that I struggled with, like, for instance, tying my shoelaces to learning to play the violin. But there's a remarkable moment where after you do try over and over again, to that place of not understanding to understanding something, there is this very authentic victory that you hope that they can share in every single day in their lives. But as much as anything else, the good things that are worth learning are the ones that will require patience and discipline and time. I was in grade 5, and my school teachers were looking for instruments for the entire classroom to play. And the recorder was supposedly the most accessible and the cheapest instrument, so they assumed that everyone could play it. Unfortunately, that left me outside of that picture. Even though I had an inclination towards music, I didn't have the tools necessary to be able to express myself in the same ways as my classmates. So my mother decided that we would search for different types of options. My dad had played the violin a little bit when he was younger. It was sort of his way of impressing my mom after college, and so she loved the instrument, he loved the instrument. That was already in the family to a certain capacity. We ended up going to a pediatric rehabilitation center in Toronto. My parents essentially went to them and said, our child wants to play the violin, but he's missing an arm. Can you make something for him? And I think this was probably one of the more bizarre requests that they'd gotten, but it seemed like to them they were unfazed and they were willing to give it a try. So a couple months later, they came up with a device that I'm playing right now, known as a spatula. And it's essentially a plaster cast and piece of aluminum, and that's essentially it. But I think that through that adaptation, I was able to finally have a relationship with music. It was almost like music was already extending a hand, but I wasn't able to grab it in a metaphorical or a literal way. And once I was able to do that, that relationship started not only with the instrument but music at large, and the medium itself has a way of exposing or reducing people to their common elements. And that was very satisfying for me, because all of a sudden it wasn't about how you looked or what your past was. It's what you're doing in the present moment. How are you contributing to a sound? How are you making something that is more and more beautiful all the time? And in that sense, music was the platform by which I did not feel disabled. Not in the sense that I didn't have any problems playing the instrument, but I had the exact same types of problems and struggles as any other violinist. And in that way, it was very empowering to be able to have those sets of problems. I think there were always those small moments when I was working with children, and I always call it like the oh moment, because sometimes it takes a long time, but like for them to just like, I see. Yes, I get it, or I understand. That in itself is one of the most powerful human experiences one can have. And to be a witness to that, from time to time, being a performer, I wanted to do that every single day. Do not try to first make children think in a certain way, but find out what they're actually thinking first. Understand children as they are, not necessarily what you want them to become, because they will be able to decide those things on their own, and you have to give them those tools to be able to do that. But if you say, I want my student to become like me, then you are automatically excluding every single person who may not be from your same culture, who may not have a disability or not, may have money or not as well. So understanding children as they are, and that flip of you are the student, and they're teaching you how we can help them best. And that's one of those things as a teacher that we try to do every day. Music in many ways is your passport to the world. You can go to any place, any human being, and play music for them. In some way, they will understand you, and you will connect to them in some way that you couldn't without that type of medium. So the failure to understand music would be the failure to understand our common bonds. And we need to reduce and almost see all of what we do in schooling as a vehicle to understand the human condition and who we are.